Hello, hello. Hello, Rachel. You look so pretty, all done up. I'm like showered, tucked kids in bed after first day of school. I've got my fuzzy blanket. I'm ready. I'm ready to listen.
That's usually me. Only because I had so many calls to speak on today. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do you guys a solid.
I
Okay.
love it. I love it. You look great. We'll give it just a minute and then we'll kick things off. Anyone else have kids start school today? We're like super early for Pennsylvania. Not many people started yet, but we've started last week, Megan. That's super early. Super early. Yeah, we are. I mean, day one went well. It's just my son's in half day kindergarten. So it's like you get him on the bus at 8:15 and then turn around and pick him back up leave here at 11:30. So new routine, new season, all is good. Oh, I forgot. Look, my settings, the call's already recorded. So we're going to have this at the beginning. Georgia, August 2nd, Jess. That's super early. Super early. Well, it's 9:02, so I know people will be hopping on, but I am super excited to have Rachel on the call tonight. Real quick, before I get started with her, did want to make sure everyone saw, I did a video, and it's in the KB page as well as my team pages. We are doing one of those flash sales on Friday. So I did a video, all the details of the flash sale are in the video, and then the links for the Canva and the Google Doc if you want to do your own flash sale, that's all there. Or just so you're familiar with what's going to be going down in the group. And then the group link was there. So it's in my pages, it's in Katie's pages. So everyone should have that. If you have questions about it, just let me know or let your upline know. But it is definitely an opportunity to really just invite to something different for a change. So watch it if you haven't. That will be going down Friday. But we have a special guest speaker in the house tonight. I'm super excited to have Rachel on the call tonight. Rachel and I met while we were sitting backstage getting ready to walk out at Summit for 7-Star. And it's always one of those things, like I walk back there all by myself, and I'm honestly not one to, I kind of put like this on. It's like, when you're in an elevator and you put earbuds in so you don't have to talk to anyone else because I get super uncomfortable. And I sat down beside Rachel, and she was like, hi. She's like, you're Megan. She's like, you had a professional background, didn't you? And I was like, I did. And we got to talking and realized we had a lot of similarities. Rachel is a fellow mama of 2. She has an incredible background. She'll tell you guys more about this, but she actually worked for John Maxwell, which is just amazing. And she has been building up this business from while she was still working her full-time job. She's a 7-star, 2-time elite. Did I have it right? 3-time elite. 3-time elite. And she's currently 33 in the network. So she's clearly crushing it. And we just had an amazing conversation in those, 20 minutes while we sat backstage, and we've stayed in touch. And I am honored to have her speak on tonight's call, because you guys are going to see how much her heart shines and her passion for what she has done and what she continues to do with her team. So I'll leave it there. Rachel, take it away. So excited to have you on the call tonight.
Oh, thank you. That's such a sweet introduction. So let me just ask a quick question, Megan. Just want to defer to you. Do you want me, how much intro do you want me to give my story? We're a lot of these gals at Summit, or do you want me to give a little bit of backstory?
I'd say give a little bit of backstory, because I think a lot of people were not at Summit.
Okay.
So I think.
Okay. I don't want to just go on these girls like, I heard your story. I got it.
No,
okay,
go ahead.
Cool.
It's a good one. So even if they heard it, I think it'll be powerful to hear it again.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, gals, I am so excited to be here. It's always so fun. I really look forward to talking on these calls. And my husband's like, wow, you must really love her because you're speaking on a 9 p.m. call. Because normally I am in my bed in my jammies. But it's all good, sister. And I'm excited to share just a little bit really about time management, because that's kind of one of the things that helped me to, in my opinion, really succeed among a few other things. So let me just give you a little bit of background on my story. So I was introduced to Beachbody a long time ago with a workout really quickly. So I started very early on in my life, was really dealt a lot with anxiety. Just like as a little guy, I was about 10 years old. And so I started with this anxiety piece, and that led to trying to calm the anxiety, which led to eating. Okay. So I struggled with my weight my whole life. I went on a diet really early on, and lo and behold, this kind of turned and blossomed into an eating disorder. Well, I finally sought treatment in my 20s. And once I get healthy mindset wise, I was not in good physical shape, but I didn't really know where to go because I tried everything. Okay. So one night when I was working for John Maxwell, I was in a hotel room, an infomercial popped on, and P90X. And so I just decided I'm going to try it. And you guys, that program really changed my life because I finally ignited a passion for wellness, for the cardio aspects and the yoga and all these different, more of a balanced approach to fitness and nutrition. So I lost 40 pounds, kept it off for years. And so that was the end of Beachbody because no one ever told me about coaching. I didn't know anything about it. Well, fast forward several years later, met my hubby who my husband works for KPMG. So Megan and I have kind of that similar connection point there. He's a partner there. And I was also in a crazy job. And Matt and I got married, had 2 babies back to back. Had my first, had a 7-month-old on my hip, and boom, found out I was pregnant again, which was a little traumatic at the time. But at any rate, had her. And I went back when she was 4 weeks old, which was really, really hard, you guys. I mean, I had a demanding job, but that was a little crazy. And what I realized was, I'm not sure if this is for me. This is a huge challenge, right? Because one thing having 1, that was tough. But then having 2, having a toddler and an infant basically, and going back to work. So the thing about my job, so what I did was I went into Fortune 500s and I developed leadership development programs for the C-suite down to the front line. So basically helping them with coaching and team building and events. And it was really fun. There was so much cool. I got to meet all these big speakers, Dave Ramsey and Simon Sinek, which was cool when you don't have kids. But when you do have kids, trying to do those things and, in a man's world, and there's expectations and pace, and meanwhile I'm over here trying to take care of my kids, my husband's trapped, and it was just I wanted to pull my hair out. And so to add to that, I worked my whole life. I worked my entire life, went to an awesome college, worked my butt off, landed this job, was making multiple 6 figures. And I'm like, I should be happy. This is what I worked for. But I wasn't. And so it was at that time I found my coach on Instagram, scrolling one night, looking for a little bit of sunshine. I started stalking her. Didn't know she was a coach. I reached out to her probably about a month later, and she told me she's a Beachbody coach. And I can say this, I didn't say this on stage, but I was like, ugh. No way, that is gross. Network marketing is gross. I didn't say this either. So when I used to go with John to all these events, he would go speak at all these events for these huge network marketing companies. And these people would aggressively go after me to try and recruit me. I'm talking it was bad. And I thought, there is no way, this is not for me. I would never do that in a million years. Right. Never say never. Because a few Sunday night breakdowns, the Sunday scaries, having anxiety. I was really, I thought about it with my husband. I talked about it. We prayed, and we just decided, you know what? We're going to do this thing. And when I decided, I was like, I'm going all in. I'm going to be a top coach. And little did I know, I was pretty naive. But anyway, you always think, you're like, well, I can do that. And I still believe that, but it was a heck of a lot of hard work, you guys. You don't really know kind of what you're in for, but it's been such an incredible ride. And so what happened was I went all in, started working, just really finding those cracks of time. 2 years later, I was able to quit my full-time job. And so pretty cool, right? To be able to retire from that 6-figure job in less than 2 years. And that was just an incredibly freeing experience. And now I've got this passion, to be able to want to help other women. But what I want to chat with you guys about tonight is just this idea of, okay, that's great. How do I do that? And I want to give you a little bit more than just I got up early and I worked my lunch break and I listened, the national wake up call when I was folding laundry. And I want to give you some of that tactical stuff too. But the bottom line is it's just that sacrificial mindset of knowing that, hey, I'm going to just lean in and know in this season of hustle, it's going to be about delayed gratification. One event, John had me speaker host Dave Ramsey, which is basically you're his handler. And so I spent the whole day with him. Aside from coming home and asking my husband to give me all the credit cards and cutting up our cards and getting out of debt 13 months later, the other thing he taught me, or what he said to me was, well, he said this on stage, but he said in our conversations too, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. And I'm like, oh, I love that. And you guys, it's like, that's like a mantra for our fitness. It's a mantra for our business. It's a mantra for our life. And, you know, here we sit now with Matt and I, older than a lot of people, I think, in this business. I just turned 40, but we live in our dream home. We have no debt. I have total time freedom. I'm able to travel. I can be at all my kids' events. It's just like, Lord, thank you. Thank you for prompting me to do this. And just thank you for giving me the wisdom to know, like, it's going to be hard, but it's like when you have a new baby, you're like, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? And yes, there is. So I want to chat with you guys about a few of these kind of practical tips. Okay. So I want to start with more of things about working in the business first, and then I want to talk to you about working on the business. Okay. So I have 3 tips to start with. And the first one is maybe something you've heard before, but you guys, I cannot underscore this enough. And of course I do think getting up in the morning earlier is important, but winning your morning. So getting up at least an hour earlier and being so intentional with that beginning time. It's funny because I reached out to Melanie today because we chatted backstage and she's going to speak on my team call, but I saw that she posted about the 5 a.m. club and I just finished that book. And I love this idea of morning routine. I'm intrigued by it because in my time with John Maxwell, I work with a lot of top CEOs and the COO of Microsoft, CEO of Chick-fil-A. And you know what's cool, you guys? They're incredible leaders, just like we aspire to be. To be successful in this business, you've got to be an incredible leader, right? And an influencer. And one of the things that I noticed about all those people is that they get up early and they get stuff done before the craziness and the chaos of life ensues. And so for me, tangibly, what I did, whatever time I had to be up, I set my alarm an hour early, which was very, very hard when you're going to bed super late because you're dealing with clients who don't really care about anything, right? I know, Megan, you know about that. They're like, I don't care if it's Christmas or, whatever. I had pretty demanding clients. So I typically got up between 4 and 4:30. And the reason why I think this is important is, you guys, this sets the tone for your day. Begin as you mean to go. And so you need to get up and start with intention. And for me, I'll use this acronym. I call it PAVE, P-A-V-E. And I do a lot of iterations of this, but in the beginning, my first, I'd say 2 years, I was very consistent with this exact methodology. And I started at, different for everyone. So I don't know where everyone is spiritually, but for me, I'm a Jesus follower. So I started with prayer. And that maybe it's for you, it's meditation or solitude, but it's really just like, I think we just are so caught up all the time, but sometimes it's just like, stop, breathe, be present, be grateful. We're alive, we're breathing. We have an opportunity to pursue a business. We're on this awesome call surrounded by like-minded women who are trying to do something incredible. And just reflecting on that, as a type A person, that is so grounding for me. So I do prayer and sometimes a devotional. Sometimes I interchange those two. The second is affirmations. And I want to just kind of dive a little bit into this because it's not just, oh, that sounds good, I'm going to take this affirmation. It's affirming the false beliefs, the stories you tell yourself. So what do you believe right now about yourself that's holding you back in the business? For me, I had a few. One of mine was I should be further along. Constantly looking at other people in the business. I should be further along right now. And that is not true. And that is not helpful. And so I came up with an affirmation to refute that. I will continue to build my business, leveraging resources and people to be the best leader that I can be. You know what I'm saying? And just owning that. Because those false beliefs, we think they're not a big deal. But listen, when you operate from that place, it's not good. So you have the affirmation and you visualize. I'm a big vision board person, you guys. I have all my vision boards. I got my one over there. And I would just envision myself walking across stage that first year, 5-star elite, every morning. And when it actually happened, it was so surreal. It almost felt like it wasn't even happening. And I was so emotional. People don't even cry. I'm sobbing. I went to hug Carl and he's like, oh, get this girl away from me. But I was just so moved because I had seen it so many times in my mind. And it was just wow, this is actually happening. so powerful to really visualize, like, what do you want your life to look like? Blank checkbook, blank calendar, 2 to 3 years. Where do you want your kids to go to school? How do you want to dress? What do you want your body to be like? How do you want to feel in your skin? Like thinking about that and putting it maybe on a vision board or on a statement or something that you really reflect on every day. That why, that gives you, power when you're like, I do not feel like getting out of bed. People are telling me no, I'm stuck. I'm in a funk. Well, all the things. No, go back to that why. Allow it to like pull you so you jump out of bed and you're ready to go. And then finally, the E is for education, exercise. So PD and then exercise. So those are the things I did every morning. And that was super helpful because I do feel like it paved the way to have a successful day. So that is one thing that you can do that's very practical starting tomorrow is set that alarm early. I know it's hard. Trust me. There are mornings where I'm like, especially now because I don't have to get up at that time. So now I'm like, it's almost easier when you're forced into it, right? It looks like someone else read the 5 a.m. Club. So good. Yeah. And also the Miracle Morning is a great one too, you guys. I'm sure everyone's probably read that, but that was a go-to for me. I think it's very tactical. I like the 5 a.m. Club. I said to Melanie, I like it, but it's a leadership fable. So it was a little slow in the beginning. I'm like, okay, let's get to like, what are the takeaways? But I'm like, I can get into this. It's like an actual story. So just, it's very different than the Miracle Morning. Okay. That's the first thing. Second tip. First things first. So what is the thing? And Gary Keller calls it the one thing, and Tony Robbins calls it the main thing. John Maxwell calls it that too. But what is your thing? What is the thing that if you did nothing else today, that thing would cause you to feel like, yes, I like made forward progress. And I don't know, you guys can chat in, but what of the 4 vitals, what is the thing that's the hardest for you? Is it product of the product? Is it inviting? Which is typically what I hear from my coaches. Is it, is it connecting? Is it follow-up? Which of the vitals is tough for you? Inviting. I see inviting. It's a lot of times I hear that from my coaches, inviting. And perhaps I'd even be curious, is it more inviting to challenge groups, boot camps, or business? Because usually my leaders are like, oh, the business invites. You guys, do those first. Because then they're done. And now you can move on. And now you can move on from a place of feeling empowered because you get to disconnect from the outcome. You need to show up. I love what Jamie said in the National Wake Up Call. You just show up and you do it, you guys. You take action. And as you take massive action, you learn what works and what doesn't. And you fail forward big. And you learn. And you get up and you just do it again. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And that's how you get better. So it's all good. Oh, someone said follow-ups. Follow-ups are kind of, for me, a little tough too. But whatever those things are, my encouragement is after you have this morning routine, put that thing first. Eat your frog. Have you heard that saying? There's a book by Brian Tracy. It's I guess, fashioned after a quote from Mark Twain that he said, if you eat a live frog first thing in the morning, it's the worst thing you'll do all day. So it's this whole idea of like, that does sound pretty bad, but it's this whole idea of do that thing. Do the thing that you're just like, God, I don't want to do this thing. And I like to actually set my desk up. I like to have everything set up so when I sit down in the morning, it's like neat. I know you have the things you're going to get to. Maybe you have the list of people. I have a collection on Instagram and it's boom, boom, boom. I do 5 business invites a day, every day, Monday through Friday. Back when I first started, I did 1 a day. 1 a day. That's it. I did 7 business invites a week. That's how I went from my first full year from Emerald to Elite. So I wasn't doing like crazy invites like a lot of these other coaches. I was doing more relational invites, but now I commit to doing those 5. So do the thing that scares you, right? And, I'll just say a quick, and maybe you guys don't struggle with this, but you've got to be inviting privately to the business. Like you just have to be, you guys. It's so critical. Like we think, oh, well, people know I'm a coach. And so often my girls are like, I can't find business builders. I'm like, well, first of all, you need to be a business builder so you can attract it. But secondly, are you talking to people? Are you sharing about it, right? Got to be sharing on social media about it. In your polls, in your stories, and on your feed. And it can be subtle. It doesn't have to be like a strong call to action, but it's really, really important. I came in as a business builder, right? So for me, it's very natural to invite other people in as business builders. Most of my diamonds have come in that way. versus converting from challengers. So that's why I'm really excited to hear Megan talk on our call, because she's going to be kind of talking on the other piece of that. Okay, the third thing is the business activity tracker. And I was thinking about this call. I'm like, gosh, I don't want to give them the blinding flash of the obvious. But the reason I'm sharing these basics with you guys is they work. I know it's not sexy. It's like, oh, the business, great, the bat again, the vitals again. Y'all, I'm telling you, I was relentless with that activity. I mean, I have a tracker from every week since I started, every single week. And I would fold that thing up and take it on trips with me. And throughout the day, go to the bathroom, in the bathroom, inviting. I'm like, I'll be right out. You're trying to just find little pockets of time to get things done. And I had that checklist because I'm like, you know what? So long as I check these boxes, I know I'm doing the things that are going to move my business forward. I did them every day. And I'll tell you, it worked. And the thing I love about the blue business activity tracker is that it's been proven. This has been vetted by all these top coaches. So when you do this, you will hit Success Club. And you guys, there's a big difference, I think, between people who are really successful and the masses. And that is, successful people do 100%. So when it says post every day, they post every day. They don't post 80% of the time. They don't just show up when they feel like it. There are plenty of times I didn't want to get up and post, or I didn't feel like inviting. Big dreams, big hustle, right? And that's what successful people do. They just show up 100%. And if you really want to be super successful, you may want to 5X it or 10X it. So for me, I wanted to hit 5-star elite. So I'm like, I better do some massive action here. And I'm in a not quite strong of hustle right now. I'm still hustling, but I'm trying to find balance in my life now and find kind of that. I still have huge dreams and huge goals, but I want to enjoy my family too. So it's finding that balance and finding what works for you. And one thing I'll say on that too is, how cool is it being an accountant, Megan, you're going back and being able to analyze data and say, okay, it's like a food journal, right? Whoa, okay, up 5 pounds, this is not good, or my clothes aren't fitting, look back. Oh, I ate Mexican twice last week. And you know what I'm saying? Go back and see, oh, I only posted about a call to action once, or I did X amount of business invites, or you can go back and see all that data and you can actually manage what you're measuring. Otherwise, it's very difficult to manage what you're not measuring. Then you're just I was on a call with a coach today and she's like, not measuring, okay? And I had her send her bat, and normally I don't do calls when it's not very specific. But anyway, it's all good. But on the call, I'm like, girlfriend, you're going to have to figure this out, because you are doing yourself a disservice. Just if you just kind of throw it out there, that's what you're going to get in return. So commit to filling that tracker out. Do you guys use the blue tracker, or do you use a tracker? Yeah. Okay. I don't want to say anything in opposition to what you guys are doing now. Okay, use the bat. I know some teams have their own bat, but the bottom line is, it doesn't really matter which one it is. It matters that you're using something and tracking all these key vital behaviors. I also like to track my following to see, and look at my insights each week. On Instagram to see, okay, how did my posts do? How did my followers increase? And to kind of see, okay, this content was really good this week. Which of the posts was really good? What resonated with people? Was it the photo? Was it the copy? And that's a really just sidebar tip. Kelsey Hill spoke on our call, whenever it was, last week. I can't even remember now, you guys. It's been that kind of a lot of calls. And she was talking about just the power of leveraging insights. So complete sidebar, but really, really good. Let's see. Awesome. I'm just looking at the comments here. I love that. Yes. Go back to your high months. So good, Dara. Go back to your high months and see what you're doing right. And then you can replicate it. Then you can teach your team, because, right, this is all about duplication, right? Love that. Okay. So those are the 3 tips for working in the business. Now, a few things for working on the business. So I think before you get into time management, you guys, it's really important to take a step back and really even identify, what are your priorities? What's important to you? I think so often we're just so busy, we just take off running, and we're like, add one more thing and just keep running and we'll figure it out. And I think that's a recipe for overwhelm and burnout, because I've lived there. I've been there. I used to visit there all the time. I'd burn out probably once every few years. And so my advice would be, think about what Stephen Covey calls big rocks, okay, or categories. For example, faith, family, fitness, career, financial. It's different buckets of your life. What are all the different buckets of your life? I'm sure you guys have probably done some type of exercises like this. But the key is to identify what those things are. So when you look at your calendar, the most important things go on your calendar first. Because what happens is if you don't intentionally plan for those things, the minutia and the craziness of life takes over. And next thing you know, it's the entire day, you haven't worked out, you haven't done any of your stuff, but you've done a lot of other, you're not even sure what you did, honestly. And so intentionality and telling your time where it's going to go ahead of time, huge. Planning your business hours. That was a savior for me. I didn't watch The Bachelor for 2 years, which was really tough because I don't watch a lot of TV, but that was like my show. But that was my work time. Planning a call to action. I'm not sure if you guys have a solid, we do at least one a week. Planning those things. For me, Friday night Mexican with my family, that goes on the calendar. There are, non-negotiables, time with God, whatever those things are, you identify those things. And first things first on your calendar, those things go on your calendar. Okay. So once you have those key areas, family, faith, fitness, whatever they are, then you set goals in those areas, right? Like, where do I envision myself being in the next 6 months in the business, or however less than that till 2020. What do I want for my fitness? What do I want financially? What do I want to cultivate in my family relationships? They don't have to be crazy, huge goals, but what, with intentionality, what would just get you really excited, and set some goals in those areas. And then it becomes a lot easier to plug into your calendar actions in order to move you forward towards those goals. So not only do you have to get clear on the what, but you have to understand the why. And also, what are you going to have to sacrifice, right? I said that in the beginning. Time, bachelor time, sleep, maybe time with family. I know that's like probably taboo to say, but it's part of scaling the business. There were times I had to sacrifice that time, but now again, live like no one else so you can live like no one else. And the why is so important. Those times where you don't feel like getting up, you guys, when my daughters are 7 and 8 now, but when my youngest Lily, she was graduating from kindergarten, she's my last, and we're done because we're done. And so she's graduating from kindergarten. They do this cute thing. I live in Atlanta. I saw another Georgia person here, and they do this like phonics thing where she gets dressed up like Lizzie the Lizard, and she does this little song and dance. She was so excited, right? She's like this bubbly, she's telling me all about it. And my boss called me and was like, this client came up, I need you to fly out. And I'm like, I really don't want to do that. I can't really do that. My daughter's thing. And he's like, we need you to go. So I had to tell my 5-year-old, mommy went to Grayson's, but mommy can't come to your end of the year kindergarten graduation. And I'm telling you guys, that was not good. That was not good. And she is very like an emotional kid. And she's like, that's okay, mommy. But she her eyes were sad. And I'm like, oh, I like gut wrenching, And I'm like, oh, hell no. Never. It gives me goosebumps. Never again. And anytime I was tired and I didn't want to get out of bed, or I wanted to cry because I just could not send out any more invites, or, you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, oh, yes, I can. And yes. And I did. I read it, and I had on my vision board a picture of her. Every time I tell the story, as soon as I cry, right now I have goosebumps. That is powerful, you guys. Like, mamas will run through a brick wall for their kids. And now I get to be at all her functions, but I'll never get that time back. And I don't want that. I don't want that for other moms. And other moms can relate to that, right? Because we want that. We want to be there for our kids. So that's just an example of pretty clear why, right? Like freedom, baby. That was our mantra, and I went after that. So you have your priorities. You have these key priorities, big rocks, whatever you want to call them. You start to envision, what do I want this to look like? What are my goals for each of these? What are they? Why do I want this? What type of sacrifice is it going to take? Do I have to get up every morning to do morning meltdown 100? Yes, I got to keep doing my workouts. And if I want to get in my best shape ever. And then from there, you want to get planning. So here's where the actual kind of like more tactical piece comes in. So I plan my week out every Sunday. And I usually takes an hour or two. So it probably takes, I enjoy planning. So time management is actually fun for me. I know I'm kind of a nerd. So I like really looking at my calendar, analyzing what went well, what didn't go well. How was I using my time effectively? Sit down on a Sunday, I review last week, and I figure out, okay, what's the big thing this week? What's my big goal? I write that down on a piece of paper at the very top of the piece of paper. I'm going to show you guys this. And I look at those big rocks and I plug in my workouts. I plug in my God time, my family time, all those things I told you that are the non-negotiables, that goes in there before any of these like more fun goals, business goals. So at the very top, I may say this week, maybe it's a personal goal. Maybe it, for example, for me, this week, my goal is to enroll 5 business builders. My primary focus is not on new challengers. It's somewhat, there are some team things happening, but really I'm looking for business builders because I'm starting a new coach mentorship. So I write the date, I write my goal at the very top of the piece of paper, and then I divide a piece of paper into 4 quadrants, just like that. And then what I do, you guys, is I brain dump. In this top left corner, I do family and personal. So like all that kind of stuff, like take the kids school shopping, schedule an eyebrow appointment, like whatever, that kind of stuff. Down here, I used to put in the bottom left, I used to put my job, my corporate job. And so I put stuff there. This top right corner is my personal business, my personal Beachbody business. And then the bottom right is my team Beachbody business. And then I just get it all out of my brain. Think on paper, right? Get it out of your head, because a lot of times we're stressed because we're thinking about the same 8 things over and over again. So you get it on the paper. So that's there. So we got that. We have all the big rocks in the calendar. So all those non-negotiables are in there. We have a goal for the week, and we have all the to-dos all here on the paper. So now I use Google Calendar, or you can use any calendar, but I like to use that because it syncs with my husband's calendar. And I open up my calendar and I time block. And I've done this for years. I did this back when I worked for John Maxwell because my schedule was insane. Like, this is the only way, you guys, I was able to do travel and have Coca-Cola here and this client trying to work on insane project management and fitting this in. The only way was to time block. And it got messed up. It was messy at times, but it's okay. Like, this is a work in progress, right? Failing forward. You're starting with intentionality, knowing that it may not be perfect, but you're going to do the very best that you can. And so I go into my calendar and I start plugging things in time slots that make sense. And then with my husband, I didn't used to do this, but I communicate now with him and let him know, because I'm like, hey, I'm speaking on a call tonight. It used to be like, oh my gosh, you're home. I got a call right now. Like, you take the kids, and did not make him very happy. And he's like super easygoing and super big, big supporter, but that wasn't good. And I just was just running, you guys. I didn't take time to explain to him, here's what I'm doing and here's why. And it wouldn't take that much time, right? Like, hey, I'm talking on this call because I really want to talk to this coach. This is a potential coach. It's just like, and explain, this is why I'm doing it. And that, I think, can help them to feel like they're part of what we're doing, versus just throwing the kids at them when they walk in. And then once you plan that for the week, what I do in the morning is I just take a quick glance at my calendar. And let me give you a for example. I did not sleep well last night. I drank Energize at 4 p.m. yesterday, not smart, and I could not sleep. And so I went to bed very late. I got up very early, and I'm doing this call. I told Matt, I'm like, I can't get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Like, can we switch things around so I can sleep? Because I have a meeting with Jeff Matheson tomorrow afternoon. And I don't want to be like a zombie. And so you map and move, right? You're like, life happens and it's all good. So I'm just going to shift my whole calendar down just slightly. And that's okay. But it's like knowing with intentionality, it's all on there, and I may have to just kind of tweak it slightly. It just is so freeing, you guys. When all that stuff in your brain is on your calendar, then you can just like let it go. And you show up and you just do the things on the calendar. It just feels really, really good. Okay. Let's see. If you feel like you don't have time, some of my coaches tell me that. I'm like, I want you to do a time audit. share with me your calendar for a full week, 30-minute increments. I want to see what you're doing. And it's like miraculous. It's like, what about this like 2-hour? They're like, there's time. We just have to choose how we're going to prioritize the time and if it's a priority. So, and that's what I've done for myself, because I used to, not be very efficient with how I was making. I thought I was doing a lot of work when in reality I was wasting time. So that can be really helpful too. Okay. Then, so Sunday you got your calendar plan. Monday morning rolls around. I like to have a business activity tracker ready to go. I use my iPad. I just drop it on my iPad and I have good notes, but you may have them printed. Have them ready. Have it ready to go so you have it with you. I used to fold mine up and carry it with me, like I said. But whatever works for you, but have it ready. Don't give yourselves barriers. Like, set an environment for success up, right? Just like how you put your workout clothes out in the morning. Same thing with your work. Like, have the things ready, have the lists ready, have, as much as you can do preemptively, the better. Because then you don't have to think about it. You just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? That 5-second rule, and you just get right into it. You start doing those business invites or whatever it is. The other thing I love is this guy. I love this timer cube. It's like my BFF. You can use a timer on your phone, but I love the cube. And I like to try and beat myself. I'm like, how many new connects can I get through in 30 minutes? That was my challenge today. Or how many invites can I get out? And I do connection invites, but I just want to try and challenge myself. So I love this. Oh yeah, the paper with the 4 squares for sure. What question do you have? Do you want me to tell you what the 4 squares were? We have, in the top left is personal and family. In the bottom left is your corporate job. If you have or not corporate job, if you're a teacher or nurse, or your job, your day job. And the top, I can't do backwards. See, you guys know I'm a morning person, so I'm like really like all over the place. This top left is your Beachbody business, and then down here is your team, Beachbody team. Thank you, Megan. You got it. Okay, awesome. Okay, one other quick thing that I want to share. You know what? Let me back up for a second. One thing that I thought was really, really cool. I got this from, I think it was Rob Pearson maybe that told me, but he talked about a to-do list. Have you guys heard about this? I love that. So a to-do list, instead of having a to-do list, you have a to-do list. So it's kind of like, here's your plan for the day, but what did you actually do? And for me, and maybe for a lot of you who are high achievers, you're like, yes, it feels so good to just, how you like crossing stuff off the list? It feels good to write it down and be like, I did that, and I did that, and I did that. Because my husband would come home and say, what did you do? I'm like, I hardly did anything today. And he'd ask me, I start listing it out. I'm like, maybe I did do more than I think. Sometimes we can be a little hard on ourselves. So it's really cool to write down, sorry, those are my cats, to write down what are those things that you accomplished. And I found that that's been really like helpful for me. So that may be something that you guys want to integrate into this and just analyze, like, what I found? I was planning 3 days worth of stuff in one day and then feeling frustrated because I'm like not getting it done. But I'm like, who could possibly get this amount of work done? This is not realistic. I have unrealistic expectations and I'm setting myself up for failure every day. So it's helpful to kind of see what's even realistic. So that's something that you can use there. Okay, so I want to just close with this. So I think the key to just with time management in general is you got to always be looking at what's working, right? That's why I think it's so impactful to evaluate to-do list or look at your calendar. What's working, what's not? How can I be more efficient with my time? How can I be more effective? If you're doing crazy amounts of power hours, but you're not seeing success like you want to, what can you change? What can you test? How can you fail? Like, go after it. Try different things. See what works. That's the beauty of this business is you can't fail because you work for yourself and you get to just keep getting up and trying different things. And for me, I'm constantly asking myself, am I spending my time on the right things? John Maxwell once told me, Rach, if someone else can do it 80% as well as you need to delegate that to them. And I always think about that because there are many times I'm doing stuff. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. Like the hour I spent on a graphic today, I did it, you guys. I did it. I knew I was doing it. I went down the hole and I just stayed there. And I knew I was looking at my calendar. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. But it was like my little thing. I was working. No, I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing. My assistant should have done that. I shouldn't have been doing that. But you see, at least I recognize it. But see, I mean, my point in saying this is that you just want to constantly be evaluating. And one of the things that I think is really important in the beginning one I wish I would have almost done this sooner is who can I delegate to? Who can help me? And maybe you can't hire a cleaning lady. That was the first thing I did. I reinvested all what I made back in the business. I hired a cleaning lady. I hired an assistant probably about 6 months in. All the money I was making went back into the business because I'm building a 7-figure business. And if you're trying to build a 50,000, 6-figure, whatever it is, most business people reinvest back in their business, you guys. It always cracks me up when people are like, I don't want to spend money to make money. I'm like, what company? Is there a company out there where you can start where you don't have to spend money to make money? Because I work with some of the top companies in the world and that doesn't exist to my knowledge. So I think $160 is a pretty good deal. So ask for help. Maybe your mother-in-law can watch the kids. Maybe your husband can help. And maybe he can't. I'm just throwing things out, like start to get creative and look for where are ways I can get more efficient? Who can I help? Where can I leverage? That was my word last year. I was really going through like just kind of a tough season of feeling like I'm working so hard and I feel like I'm just working harder and harder and I'm not seeing greater fruit because I was driving myself kind of in the ground. And I had to look for ways to work smarter, not harder, right? So look at ways that you can leverage. And you guys, I just want to kind of, I guess, close by saying, continue to fail forward. I mean, I looked at failure as such a negative thing for so long. I used to like wear it as a badge of honor, like I've never missed my goal at John Maxwell, because I was a consultant and we had sales goals. I've never missed my goal. Well, that's not a good thing. That means I was kind of shooting right under the radar, and now I stretch myself. And when I fail, I'm like, that means I'm trying really hard. I'm getting out of my comfort zone and I'm trying to teach my girls that too. And just real quick, a complete side note to close, but I'm paying my daughter to read a book. John taught me this. She wants to earn money and she's 8. I'm like, okay, you want to earn money? You can read this book and write a 1-pager on it and share it with Daddy and I. And it's called The Confidence Code for Girls. So she was reading it in the back seat on the way home from gymnastics, and the national wake-up call was on, and they said something like, make mistakes. She's like, Mommy, that's what they said in the book. That's the same thing. You should make mistakes. You should try. That's how you know you're really going after it. And that's how you build confidence. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had like this mommy moment. It felt so good. You guys, this is the kind of stuff we want to teach our kids and we want to live it out, right? We want to be those kind of leaders. So we got to do it. Yeah. So good. So that's what I have for you guys.
Thank you. There are a couple questions. I don't know if it's easier if you scroll up right after we talked about the squares.
You got it.
Betsy had one about the hustle back when you were still at your previous job. And then like one more down from that was how to break the status quo when we feel that we are not growing.
Got it. Let me see. Betsy. Can you go back to the paper with the 4 squares, top right? Can you describe your hustle back when you were still? Yeah. I mean, so let's see. Up at between 4 and 4:30, I would do this morning routine and I would get straight into inviting. Usually it wasn't, like I said, it was one business invite, but guys, I was only doing I hesitate to even share this because it's insane compared to what a lot of people do now, but I was doing probably about 7 invites a day, but they were relational. I was doing most of my business on Facebook when I started. And so I was having good success doing that. So I would work probably about 30 minutes to an hour, depending upon what I could get done in the morning. And I'm not including that kind of paid hour. That was just personal. I wasn't really counting that as part of my work. I'm talking like actual work, working in the business. Usually I'd work my lunch break or some semblance of something during the midday most of the time. But see, I had a client-facing job, so it just depended, right? It depends. But I would try and carve out time in the middle of the day. And if not, then I'd tack it on at night. And it would be between 1 to 2 hours at night. So generally speaking, I was out about 3 hours a day, every day, Monday through Sunday, every day for 2 years, on Christmas, on my birthday, on vacation, every day. We go to Disney. I woke up at 5 a.m. or 4:30 to go do my stuff before we went to Disney. And I know that may sound a little excessive, you guys, but I was desperate to get out of my job. And I did not care what I had to do. And I was like, I'm going to overshoot and I'm just going to work hard. I know I can do this. And I just showed up with that, my why. And I found those pockets of time. And you know what I found that practically is that the little sheet of paper I carried around was so cool, because then it's like, oh, I have 15 minutes. Okay. What can I do right now? And I was just like, I just got to check the boxes. I just had this mindset is like, I just have to like get through this. I just have to check the boxes. I know I can do this. And I did. Does that help? Is that practical enough? That's you.
But just on the flip side, I mean, I wasn't working another full-time job when I started, but I had that same like fire and burning desire inside of me that Rachael had, because I had left a pretty successful job to be a stay-at-home mom. So when I got wind of all this and I saw the potential, I worked for it. And while it wasn't driven by like a financial need, it was driven by this opportunity is on my plate and there is no reason why I can't do what everyone else did. So like without a job to report to and 2 kids who at 8 and 6 still don't sleep through the night, I was up at 5 a.m. without fail, no matter how many times the baby was up the night before. I found the pockets through the day, but I mommed 2 little ones all day long. And I worked Monday through Sunday, vacations at Disney. It doesn't matter where I went. I was working every evening and every morning and every holiday. But I had done that before. Like I had done that in my corporate job. So to me, you just work really hard if you want to have success. So it wasn't like people would say like, oh, you're working these holidays. Okay. But I want these other things. So to me, that was like what Rachael talked about, sacrifice. That was a sacrifice that I was always willing to make because I saw the bigger picture that other people had achieved by doing these things. And it wasn't 24 hours a day, but I could find time every single day to pour back into it. So I think it's different no matter what your job is outside of this, but it can be applicable regardless of where you are.
I love that. Agreed. Let's see. Robin, how many total hours are you working the biz every day? Now I work full-time hours. So I just work a normal work day. Honestly, probably 8 to 9 hours a day, maybe 8 hours a day. I don't take any calls on Friday. So I still do some work, but it's like an open space day. So that way anything that doesn't get done Monday through Thursday flows into Friday, and it's a self-care day. So I will get a massage, or I will just go do something fun. I'll pick my daughters up early, get my nails done, but I still get work done, like fun work, like watching training calls, or like, I know that's really fun. See, again, my nerd is coming out, but those kind of things that are not like calls. And then I do work on Saturdays pretty frequently in the mornings. I don't work on Sundays. Generally speaking, it's like I call it Soul Sunday. So it's just like, just filling back up. But here's the thing, like I want to make 7 figures. I mean, I am going to make 7 figures in this business. So I want to, and I like working. I mean, I really like, I could probably work like 24/7, you guys, and be okay with it. Like I have to put parameters on myself because it's fun. Like this to me is fun because I really believe in what we're doing. So yeah, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask about like boundaries and work hours.
I'm similar. I mean, I've always worked several hours a day, 7 days a week. I just now started taking like my son had a hockey tournament on Sunday. I was at the rink. I left here at 8:30. I got home at 6. My phone died at like 1 and I never even thought about it. Like I didn't do a thing all day during the day on Sunday, but there was a time where I would have been like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, and like every 15 minutes going to like check into a challenge group, respond to a message, or get back to an email. Like I still remember hearing a ding at one point. It was like midnight and like a baby was sleeping beside me and I heard a ding and I got up and it was like a girl asking me about like challenge group. So I got up and answered her response. So I think I'm kind of like wired on the way Rachael is, that I can work and I will work no matter what, but you have to figure out what it is for you. So like set your own boundaries and your own goals, and you can't magically put more hours in the day than you already have. So work with what you have and figure out how you can be the most efficient. Your tips you gave were awesome about really reflecting on where you're spending your time. Like, I mean, I caught myself on Kristen Cavallari's Instagram page today I was someone who was obsessed with like the hills back in the day. And it was like 30 minutes. Her style is phenomenal. Clearly nothing like I wear. But I was like, oh my word, that was 30 minutes that I scrolled Kristen Cavallari's page when I should have been inviting because that's my frog. So like you'll have those moments, you have to reel it back in, but it really comes down to intentionality. Like your hours are going to be what you are willing to put in of work hours to reach whatever goals you have.
I love that. P.S. On that note, I literally will put that in my calendar. Mindless scrolling. Like I will write it down because that way this week coming up, I can look back and say, okay, I needed to get up and take a break. Or you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we will not allow ourselves we'll be in the zone. And then like you said, then we go down the rabbit hole for 30 minutes because our brain needs maybe a little bit of a respite. Maybe 5 minutes, get up, walk around, brain break, you know?
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions?
I'm a 1 on the Enneagram, by the way. I don't know. Which one, what are you?
They were 3 and 6 for the first. I think it's 6. My mom's on here. I just sent it to her. I think it was a 6. I want to say 6.
Love it. I love the Enneagram.
We were just talking about these the other day. I want to say it was a 6 and like my secondary was 3.
Okay. That makes sense. I love the Enneagram. I love all these personality things. So fun.
But yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think it's always amazing to hear the stories of other people who I feel like sometimes I get trapped in the fact that I wasn't working a full-time job when I started and it's totally different, but you hear the stories of people who have done it. So you have to realize that every story that you hear, whether it's National Wake Up Call, a team call, put yourself in it. Take something. Maybe you can't relate to every single thing Rachel said, but take something and realize that you're no different. That if you have these really big goals, you absolutely hands down positively can achieve them. You just have to believe in yourself first. And that was the way I looked at it from day one. I always looked at it like, you know, they're no different than me. Like there's no reason why I can't have what that is. And I'm just going to get out there and do it. And I think if you can repeat that, we were talking about the quote for the longest time. I think Melanie said this on one of the first team calls I ever got on, but I will do the things that other people won't, so that someday I can live the life other people wish they could have. And it sounds like bad. I feel like saying it like I want to live the life other people wish they could have, but that's what got me out of bed. So like, you know, Betsy, you said 4:30 a.m. is a mindset. It is. It's purely a mindset. And like, it's like, I'm awake. And I still to this day have to repeat to myself, today I'm going to do the things other people won't, the things most people won't, so that someday I can live the way other people wish they could live. And I constantly repeat that to myself. I repeat it when I want to take a nap and it's not nap time because I schedule nap times, but it's not. I repeat that when I want to mindlessly scroll. I repeat that when I want to, you know, be sitting out there on the couch with my husband when he sits out there graciously every single Monday night knowing that I'm going to be in here. And he is like, the last thing I just want to touch on, because you said about communication, Rachel, that's huge. I'll never forget, it was probably like 2 years in, and I've been 5.5 now, 2-3 years in, and we were sitting on the couch. We were in this house, so it would have been 4 years ago. And I remember looking at my husband and I was like, I'm really sorry. Like I've been on a call every night. It was like Sunday coach basics and Monday team call. And then Tuesday it was another team call. And then Wednesdays it was a push to diamond. And Thursdays it was this. And I felt like I wasn't giving him any attention. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like I'm like season of push and hustle. And I feel like all I've been doing is working. And he was like, there was a time when you worked like that, but you also worked all day long and you also traveled all the time. And you also worked every weekend and every holiday without having all day with our kids. And he's like, you now spend all day with our kids. So if I have to sacrifice like snuggles on the couch watching TV at night for you to be able to be home with the kids during the day and be doing something you're passionate about, he's like, I'm okay with that. And it was just like, and I think I had to hear that. I had to hear him say that. Like he was okay with me sitting in here and dealing with the kids that kept coming out of the room because I left their room at 8:59 to start the call at 9. And I could hear them coming out and I could hear him going up. And he does it because he also understands what it does for our family. So the communication on that is huge, whether, you know, family, parents, siblings, significant other, wherever you are in your life, like letting them in on it and letting them know. Because like his words to me have not left my mind of, that was my life. Like I worked like this, but I worked like this 24/7, not my 3-4 hours and pockets spread throughout my day. So communicate. It goes a long way. Well, I appreciate you getting on tonight, Rachael, and sharing your story and your tips. And I have like a whole messy notepad here full of all my little acronyms and little quotes that you shared with us. So thank you all so much. I will get this recording up, and Rachael, I will see you tomorrow night. I will not be cuddled in a blanket when I speak on your team.
Love you just the same.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Good night.